Hi Tongwu. So this is the answer to your question. How do you get to the APIs of Signal in order to use R directly, programmatically extracting signatures, mutations, samples, whatever you may be asking from the web page. So when you open a web page like Signal, if you go here, 3 dots, more tools, and then you choose developer tools, you may not see it in the recording. It's a pop-up to the right of the browser, and just fills this. So then there's no trickery here. This is the standard Chrome web browser that has some relationships with Chrome OS, via Chrome OS, with Linux. So you'll find a lot of things here familiar, I believe. So if we go on top, make sure to choose network. There are a bunch of other things you could choose. For instance, you could be choosing code, see what code is running underneath. You'll be looking at sources. But let's focus on network. That's the one that will answer your question. How can I programmatically call for the information in Signal without having to go through the manual process? So now that this is open, we're going to keep an eye on this. Explore. Something's coming through, but is not being loaded. No problems, we haven't loaded anything yet, so that in itself is not a surprise. You see, these are messages that are dropped in the console. This is normal, so I'm just going to clear it. And here we go. So now we go in. And suddenly we are making lots of calls to something called Apollo. It's actually, you may find it interesting to go to the process and see exactly what this call is about. But let's answer your question first. So now we have a bunch of signatures here, and you have 2 calls that went through. Have it selected here at preview. You could be selecting headers and see what the call is like. So let's look at preview. Here in preview you have reference signatures. You have ID, so it's ID 60. And you have here some more information about etiology. This is about age. So you immediately recognize what this is about, right? So there it goes. So with this in mind, let's see if you can get the same information by just opening the URL. This is the bridge to your use of RStudio. There it is. So you're calling a base URL to an engine on which you're making a bunch of queries. And of course you're getting the data that you were seeing before. So if I now remove the query itself, you end up with the root. So this root is the URL of the engine. So if you click on it, the playground for something called GraphQL opens up. And here you are asking questions. For instance, here it's about finding out what is the study ID. Once you get to this page, you can study the data structures by going to the schema. So this is the schema you're using. By the way, this environment is called GraphQL. There's a little studying on your part to master it, but you'll be rewarded once you understand how GraphQL composition happens. So this is the way you ask for queries. GraphQL is a query language for APIs. I should probably type it here. GraphQL. Where's GraphQL? There it is. It's a query language for APIs. So it goes beyond just querying one API. It queries for the APIs you need for a specific answer. It's a really, really powerful tool. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's fine. I guess I could make the calls directly, like we do here, for any of those. So for instance, you have a simple answer here. Here you have something more complicated. You could ask for samples. Notice how more calls come through. There it is, more calls. So for all of these, you could, of course, basically copy the URL and get your JSON directly. So this is the JSON you get, and I would encourage you to just try this in RStudio, make a direct call by your favorite environment. If you don't like to do this from RStudio, you can go here and generate it in other environments. For instance, you could do it in curl for Linux. You could do it in PowerShell for if you're a Windows user, which I don't think is the case, and so on. So I'll stop here, and I propose as soon as we go through this, maybe with the help of a R package, so R GraphQL, of an R package that allows you to engage GraphQL directly from your environment. So have a look, and I propose that then we have a hands-on meeting, either as part of Cloud for Bio on Wednesdays, or maybe even better, as part of FAIR on Fridays. So Cloud for Bio, that's Wednesdays, and the FAIR Fridays here. So pick one or the other, come prepared with a little studying of how the engine works, and then you'll be asking questions. We'll be helping you answer them with calls to the API. Or maybe by then you have such a command of the environment that we'll be learning something from you. That will be fantastic. All right, talk to you soon. Bye now.